Hey cat lover, Petra Luna here from Cat Crazy. Are you feeling lost in the maze of pet food labels, trying to figure out what's truly healthy for your cat? Don't worry, you're not alone. Watch my eye-opening interview with Susan Thixton from Truth About Pet Food right now. She'll cut through the confusion, give you straight answers, and share a fantastic tip on how to find food that you can genuinely trust for your cat. Hi, Susan. Nice to see you again today. And I'm, so happy that you had time to join us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Talking about the pet food industry, there's so much that changes all the time. It's almost like impossible to keep up with all of that. And if you are a busy cat mom or dad, it's impossible. Who knows what propylene glycol is? Who knows what all these labels mean, right? So that's why I just want to ask you, I know you're busy, I just want to ask you a few questions. So one of the ones is, because that is oftentimes one of the first ingredients, which I think shouldn't be, but it is, meat byproducts. What is it? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, byproducts can be anything that is not in human food. Okay, that humans don't ordinarily eat. As example, liver. Some people eat liver, but for animals slaughtered, not nearly, they sell chicken livers, they sell beef liver in a grocery. But the majority of those livers, it would be considered a byproduct. So the problem arrives when what else is considered a byproduct or labeled a byproduct in pet food would be condemned material, such as a diseased liver, diseased kidneys, a condemned carcass. All of that would be classified in pet food as a byproduct. And the hard part for consumers is we don't know which is which. The label doesn't tell us that it is a condemned liver, diseased liver, or a healthy USDA inspected and passed liver. We're not given this information. I have a request into FDA when you want to get the agency to do something differently than they're doing it now. The process for that request is called a citizen petition. And it's not a petition where you get signatures. It's a formal document. It's, posted on a government website. And I requested 3 years ago this transparency in this, that if it's food, USDA inspected and passed, chicken liver, chicken, okay, doesn't matter. Then it can be labeled as chicken liver. But if it is condemned or not inspected at all, then that material needs to be classified as feed grade, because there is a difference between human grade and feed grade. FDA is supposed to give me a response, was supposed to give me a response within 180 days. And we've been waiting 3 years.
Wow. Okay.
So I keep pestering them for a response, but pet owners deserve that transparency, because it is really hard to know what all these things are. Another huge problem, and this is part of what my citizen petition requested of FDA as well, is, as example, chicken. So if you go to the grocery and you buy chicken TV dinner, that chicken TV dinner, that what that chicken is. It's USDA inspected and passed chicken. But when you see the same exact word on a pet food label, that pet food chicken has a completely different legal definition. If you wanted to look up the regulations and the definitions of human food ingredients, you can. They're publicly accessible. If you wanted to look up the definition of pet food chicken, they're owned by AFCO. They do make them available, but you have to fill out a form, and they're not easily accessible. They're close to inaccessible. So, and that's not right. pet owners deserve to understand that chicken in human food and chicken in pet food is not necessarily the same thing.
That's right. That's right. Just really shortly, briefly back to the meat byproducts. It can also be what I just recently read, euthanized pets. Is that correct?
Well, that would be a rendered ingredient, and it would fall into the category of like meat and bone meal, meat meal, a generic classification of a meal ingredient. And yes, pentobarbital, there's been a few years ago, we had more than 90 million pounds of pet food recalled because it contained pentobarbital, the drug used to euthanize animals.
Euthanize animals.
Yeah.
First of all, that is horrible. That is, now, first of all, it's horrible that they use euthanized pets. If you are a pet owner and you go to a vet and you have to euthanize your pet, you don't want them to know that they end up in pet food. Okay.
Yeah.
It's one thing. The other thing is, of course, this ingredient that they use, this stuff that they use to euthanize the pet, this will then go into their food and they will eat it. That is not good. That is horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah. There was, it was Rachel Ray Nutrish. This was a dog food, but it was involved in a lawsuit, and the lawsuit published lab results of this pet food. And this pet food contained a small percentage, but a percentage of dog DNA. A dog food containing dog DNA. Yes.
Okay, so there you go. And that's exactly the other thing that I was saying. So many like celebrities and celebrity chefs are putting their names. They slap their names on the label and say, oh, yeah, it's good. And then you as a consumer think, oh, this must be good because man, this guy is a really good chef. So he's putting this together for the pets as well. They don't do that. They just put their name on it, right? And it's horrible.
I try to give them credit, because I would hate to think that Rachel Ray, the chef Nacho, his cat's name was Nacho. Bobby Flay.
Bobby Flay, yes.
Martha Stewart is even involved in pet food, but there's several others. I would hate to think that they knew, because who would think? Who in their right mind would think that pet food could contain euthanized animals, condemned animal materials? You just don't think. So I have to believe that these people were sort of misled.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to use the best ingredients. Well, define best,
Right.
So, but in the same respect, it is their responsibility. If their name is associated with something, it's their responsibility to understand the product their name is being associated with.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of problems there, and it's so hard. Like if you are busy and you want to get the best food for your cat, what the heck can you do? So let's go back to and we have a solution because of you, thanks to you, but that will come later. So right now, my other question is, let's go back to feed grade and pet feed grade and human grade. So I understand human grade food has to be made in a human grade facility with human grade food and all the regulations that go with that. But what do you think about, because I have seen some pet food facilities that are awesome, impeccable, beautiful, USDA approved and inspected chickens and so on. So you cannot just say like human grade is better than feed grade if the facility has really good food and use really good food. It is like hard to say human grade is so much better, because there's also the problem. Remember, for dogs it might be different, they're omnivores, but for cats they're carnivores. And I see all these things now with veggies for cats, and they might be human grade, but it's still not good food for cats, right?
Yeah.
So you still, even if they slap on that thing human grade, and it's a vegetable dish for cats, that's not good. So how does the normal consumer know? What can they do, you know?
Well, you ask the manufacturer a lot of questions. And
Yeah.
I agree with you. It doesn't have to be human grade on the label. It doesn't have to be, because there are other foods that made. So if we back this up and break this down for your listeners, there are two classifications, let's say, of pet food: feed grade or human grade.
Yeah.
The requirements of human grade is human food manufacturing, human grade ingredients, everything identical to human food. It's just this product is formulated for a cat or a dog. Okay. Feed grade can be human edible ingredients. It can be non-human edible ingredients. It can be condemned ingredients. It can be filthy manufacturing conditions, or it could be pristine manufacturing conditions. We don't know. That's the one thing, you know, to make life simple. Now, it costs more, but human grade on the label has been verified by someone along the line. So there is a third-party verification that tells you, when you see human grade on the label, that tells you that this product is made in a human food facility. Someone's verified it. It is human edible ingredients. Ingredients are warehoused properly, you know, under refrigeration, so forth, just like your food. But if you want to do the homework yourself, then you can ask the manufacturer, because not all feed grade products are the same. Mm-hmm. There, as an example, there are manufacturers that have feed grade, and it's in the industry, they'll call it pet grade in reference to the facility, the manufacturing facility. But there are pet food facilities licensed for pet food that use the same manufacturing standards as human food.
Yes.
Identical. And you're right, they're pristine in there. You could eat off the floor. But there are some pet food manufacturing facilities, and I'll give you an example that I got from a Freedom of Information Act request. There was a Mars pet care facility, I think in Ohio, where the inspection report noted, quote, millions of roaches in the food production area. Ooh. Millions of roaches. If that was a human food facility, that plant would have been shut down until they got that under control. FDA did nothing because it's a pet food facility.
Oh, okay.
So circling back to the human grade, you know, you can write the manufacturer and ask them, what do you have third-party inspection of, and some of them do, of their manufacturing facilities. Outside inspectors come in. You know, ask them questions. You can look up recall history, which might give you a clue to how clean or not clean the facility is. It's just tough. So circling back to that human grade, that is an assurance, you know, that the company, because even a company where they found millions of roaches in the plant, if you wrote them and said, you know, do you follow food safety procedures in your plant? Oh, yes, absolutely. It's perfect in here.
Yes. I'm just saying, like with human grade, that's absolute true standards and everything. And I understand all of that. But again, for cats who are carnivores, if they get vegetables, that is still not good for them. It might be human grade vegetables, but it's still vegetables. And it's not what cats should eat.
Yeah.
So you still don't know. You have the human grade label on it, but you still don't know if it's good, right?
Yeah.
So
you got to look at the ingredients. You know, cats are carnivores. Now, like for my cats, and I don't know if you can see, I have a cat sitting right here on my lap. You're on camera? I'm getting on camera. We feed them commercial raw, commercial cooked, and home prepared cooked.
Yeah.
Okay. And in the home prepared, we do add some vegetables, minuscule amounts of cooked vegetables.
Yeah.
They get canned pumpkin frequently. They love it as a treat. So, but their food is 95% meat and organs.
Yes, exactly.
Cooked and ground. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. You do have to look at the ingredients and see if you agree with their ingredient list. And like if you have a question, if they list quite a few carbohydrate ingredients, which are not a requirement for cats, they do need fiber, but they don't necessarily need carbohydrates. Then ask them, what is the percentage of the food? What percentage is the carbohydrates?
Yeah. So the major thing is really you have to be informed and you have to ask questions, and that is really important. So now another thing is, okay, there's so many things I could talk with you for hours. So it's like the USDA, finalized a rule last year, which I think got in place in March of this year, with regards to organic standards, okay, in pet food. And now in May, they tried to rescind some of those rules. So what does that mean, and why are they doing this?
Why? I have not a clue. Just to cause us stress and to cause my hair to turn even more gray than it is. So what we used to have prior to these rules that were approved the end of last year, first of this year, whenever that was, there was no regulation specific to dog food and cat food. So some USDA authorities regulated them per livestock feed, and some just made exceptions to this or exceptions to that. They were not uniformly regulated. So the USDA organic standards went, okay, we need to, and she's like totally moving around too much. She's going to end up hitting the camera. I'll see how long she stays down. That's my old woman too. She's 16 years old.
Oh,
yeah. Anyway, so since they were regulated very inconsistently,
yeah,
they came up with a set of regulations, which weren't the best, but at least it was a start. Okay. I did make comments when they had the proposed rules. I submitted my comments, what I was asking more of USDA for the regulations of pet food. They didn't listen to me, but we had them. And then all of a sudden, they're gone again. I have no idea why they decided to rescind those rules. I have no idea. So now we're back to square one, to where it's going to be very inconsistent regulation of organic pet foods. Yeah.
Well, seems to me like what I read in pet industry news here was that consumers are really more getting into smaller brands and believe smaller brands more than the big ones, right?
Yes.
It seems that because they care more, or it seems that they care more, right? So this is really very interesting. So
some of those smaller manufacturers have their entire manufacturing facility as certified organic, which is a huge thing to accomplish. And I mean, high standards have to be met. So, that's what a consumer, if they're wanting organic, and I highly encourage organic, they can ask the manufacturer, what ingredients are organic? What is your facility certified organic? So forth. Those are other ways for pet owners to figure out which is the best that they can give for their cat or dog.
Right. So now another problem is the origin of ingredients. Oftentimes, I had that problem in 2012 with a company, and that's when I kind of not got in touch with you yet, but I heard about you, and that was the first time when 2 of our cats died. There was like a big brand company who put a USA label on it, but then they said, yeah, but it wasn't those treats, it was only the other food, but we used the USA label anyways. I'm like, yeah, but I wouldn't have bought it if I had known it was made overseas. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so it's like very hard. Is there any change in the meantime where it's easier to see where the ingredients come from, or is it, let's say, like 90% of the ingredients? No.
I will suspect, however, that now in our current economy with the tariffs, I would suspect that that's going to cause, for those who are still importing a lot of different goods, their prices to go up. And it might, if they can, a lot of these ingredients they can't get, they're not manufactured in the US. Taurine, right, as an example.
Yes,
taurine
in Japan, right?
Yeah. Japan and China. That's it.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, that's the only 2 countries.
Yes.
So I don't know, but the only way is to ask the company for a complete list of country of origin of all ingredients and all supplements.
Right. And you know what? It doesn't mean that something is bad when it comes from overseas. I just, like, it's easier if you're local.
You still want to know.
You want to know. And
yes,
why not create something here in the US if you can, okay? Because we are here, so let's make it easy and not fly things around, And I understand with the taurine, it is only made over there. And if that's the only way you can get it, well, then that's fine, okay?
Yeah.
So, it's just a tiny percentage, right?
Correct. Well, and even like, let's say all the vitamins and minerals came from China. China has, because of history, pet food recalls, we all tend to, the little hairs on the back of our neck stand up when country of origin is China. But that doesn't necessarily mean that everything coming out of China is poor, inferior quality.
I completely.
So the backup, if your pet's food has multiple ingredients originating in China or whatever country of origin, then follow up a question to them and ask them, what kind of testing do you do on these ingredients prior to pet food manufacturing? Some companies will require, it's called a certificate of analysis from the supplier. The supplier tested this lot for contaminants, purity, so forth, and then they send that test result to the pet food manufacturer. It's required with each shipment they get. And some companies will go to the extreme of double checking that certificate of analysis ever so often. And I really like when that happens, because that's this company really having our back, consumers' back, by not trusting all of their suppliers. They do trust them, they buy from them, they vetted them, but just to make sure we can trust you, maybe once a year, we're going to test your ingredients and make sure that they are what you say they are. That's awesome when a company does that. Right. The problem is that testing is expensive. So the more a company tests, you'll probably find out, which means it's safer for us, but you'll probably find out that pet food is a little more expensive because of the cost of this testing.
Right, but it's safe. You can trust it more, and so it's
cheaper than a vet bill, cheaper than a broken heart.
That's exactly it. Exactly it. Oh, you hit the nail on this one. Yes, absolutely. So, okay, so now talk about something positive here. During all this time that you have been doing this, what significant changes have been done, or any victories that you have seen since you started?
I think the biggest victory we've gotten is AFCO defining human grade and feed grade. They were terms, we all knew what they meant. And when they defined human grade, I, raised my hand and went, okay, you got human grade defined. Now we need to define feed grade. Thank goodness for the chair of that AFCO committee, because everybody else went, no, we don't. No, we don't. And this gentleman agreed. And he said, yeah, that's only fair. If we're defining human grade, then we need to legally define feed grade. So that was a huge win to get feed grade defined, which the legal definition is, and I'm paraphrasing here, but says that ingredients are legal unless they're not legal. I mean, literally, that's what the definition means. But we have that in writing. We have a legal definition for it. That's huge. Another huge thing, which is, again, AFCO related, for years, I have been on them. It's so expensive to attend an AFCO meeting. It was $500 just to walk into the meeting, not including your airfare to get there, your hotel, your meals, all your travel expenses. Well, they've cut that price in half for pet food consumers. A pet food consumer can now attend an AFCO meeting for $250, which is huge. I very much appreciate that. AFCO is going to start. We'll see what happens. I go to the next AFCO meeting in about 2 weeks. And the next meeting, they are starting a working group for consumer outreach. Mm-hmm. And after years of kicking me out of working groups, participating, inside AFCO, they've invited me back to be part of this committee. So we'll see where that goes.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. There's a lot of things that already have been done. I would like to have a third list, like the human grade, the pet grade, and the really trusted pet grade. So yeah. I want something like that.
Well, we need more transparency. If the FDA ever gets off their duff and responds to my citizen petition, even if they tell us no, which I suspect they will, but even if they tell us no at that point, because the law is on our side, I can file a lawsuit against the FDA. And I fully intend to do that, but we have to wait for their response first.
Right. Okay, so now let's talk about the list of pet foods we trust, which you put out every year. You just released the treats, right? So how do you evaluate brands for inclusion? What do you do?
Well, it all got started because I received hundreds of emails. Just tell me what to buy, because I write about all this horrible stuff, and people are going, oh my gosh, and just tell me. And as an advocate, I cannot go feed XYZ. Plus, every animal is different. Everybody's budget is different. What might fit my pets might not be right for your pets. So, and then to be able to support myself, everything I do besides the list and another product is free. All this education is absolutely free. I go attend these meetings. It costs a lot of money. A website costs a lot of money, so forth. So I had to support myself doing this. And I came up with the list. Pet owners can suggest a brand, or I run across a brand, and I send them a very long list of questions. Based on their answers, I might have many more follow-up questions to get clarity. And then all of their claims, like if they claim all ingredients are human grade, or all of our meats are from certified humanely raised animals, all of our ingredients are organic, I go, okay, now prove it to me. And they have to send me the verification. Like if they're saying all ingredients are human grade, I have to get verification for every single ingredient in every single one of their pet foods. And it's a lot of documents, and I read every single one of them, but I go through hundreds and hundreds of documents, sometimes hundreds, just on one brand, because they might have a lot of different ingredients, or they've got ingredients that are human grade. They prove that. Then they've got to prove organic. Then they've got to prove certified humanely raised. So it's a lot of verification, but I personally go through all of that. And then I compile the overview of that, of each manufacturer, in a page, and then publish that document once a year.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is fantastic. I love it. I always buy your list, and I have it, and I'm using it. So, thank you so much, Susan, for taking the time today to talk with me. And I look forward to another chat, and hopefully by then, certain things have changed again for the positive. Okay, so
we'll keep fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And hey, I'm German, so thumbs pressed too. So
okay.
All righty. So thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Stay pet crazy.